Hello, Math 157ers. This is Professor DeCalogero, and we are going to talk about correlation today. So what I'm going to do is walk you through problem 10 on homework section 4.2 and show you how to calculate the correlation coefficient between cost and miles. Now, remember from your previous readings, correlation coefficient will range between -1 and 1, and it is a measure of how closely correlated cost is to miles, okay? So here we have an example where the table shows the approximate distance between selected cities and the approximate cost of flights between those cities. Calculate the correlation coefficient between cost and miles. So StatCrunch is your friend here, and I would prefer that you use StatCrunch versus Excel. Next to miles is this little box, and you click here, and I can click to open it in StatCrunch. Okay, so what I have are two columns, cost and miles. And the idea is that, higher cost cities would have more mileage? Maybe. Let's take a look at this data. So if I go to graph, I can go to a scatter plot. My X column is going to be cost, my Y column, miles, and I'm not going to worry about anything else. So roughly, it looks like as the cost increases, so does the mileage. So it looks like we're going to have a positive correlation, relatively close to 1, and I'll go back through those steps real quick. Close this up. Graph, scatter plot, X column cost, Y column miles, compute, and then we can see that. All right, now how do we calculate the correlation coefficient? All right, stat, regression. We're going to start using regression, simple linear. That's all we're doing in this course. Cost. X variable is cost, the Y variable is miles. If I can click correctly, and we don't need to do anything else. We can kind of look down. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on here, but we don't need a lot of this yet. So you can look down here. We're not transforming. We're not in terms of graphs. We could do a fitted line plot if we wanted to. And let's go from here. So we're just going to hit compute. All right, so there's a whole bunch of stuff going on in here. Let's see, what do we need for now? We need the correlation coefficient, and it's 0.9803, which is reasonable because it looked like it had a very strong correlation. So I hit Control-C. I can hit Control-V, and I only needed 3 decimal places, so there we go. All right. Now here, same idea, but distance is converted to kilometers. So the question is the correlation coefficient going to be the same, higher, lower? Well, let's see. So again, click here to open this data in StatCrunch. Cost versus kilometers. Data. Stat, regression, simple linear, cost versus kilometers. Now anybody at this point in your head, just tell me what you think is going to go on with the correlation coefficient. Since we've converted to kilometers, do we think it's going to be any different? Actually, let's take a look at this graph. Graph, scatter. The graph looks a lot the same as that first graph. So I'm thinking the correlation coefficient shouldn't be that different. Again, cost, kilometers, we don't need anything else, compute, and 0.980, so it didn't change. All right, what else is going on this question? All right, now they've added a tax to each flight. Every flight is going to go up by $65 when a constant is added to each number. Let's see. Open this in StatCrunch. Let's look at the graph real quick. Remember, we added $65. Again, looks pretty much the same. Stat, regression, simple linear, cost, miles, happy clicking, here we go, compute. And look at that, the correlation coefficient didn't change again. So by adding a constant to each cost, we didn't change. And we are done. So as a little teaser to 4.3, if you look in here, there's a whole bunch of other stuff going on. You're going to need this R-squared value at some point. And if you look, this is giving you a regression equation down here. This negative 8.64.23 is the intercept. The slope is 8.136389. So I will do another recording specifically talking about 4.3 and 4.4, but for those of you who watch this and are moving on, that gives you a little idea of what's going on. All right, guys, take care.